Growing up, I really wasn't in church. I went to church every now and then with my grandmother. She went to Church of Christ. And then when my husband and I got married, or before we got married, we started dating when I was 14, I went to church with him and his family. And so that kind of started my passion for Christ. We got married really young, I was 18, and we moved to Florida and went to school together. So for about 7 years, we were completely out of church. But Sam and Tracy lived close to us, and they were pastoring a church about an hour away. And so during that time when I wasn't even going to church, she invited me to every women's retreat. Every time I came, I felt the love of God. Just the ladies that I was around, Joe, every time, always happy to see you. That was really very touching and very impressionable about my life, because at the time I wasn't in church anywhere. We moved back to Alabama after college and got our jobs and started visiting around. And I told my husband, I said, we're really missing something in our lives. I said, we really want to know the truth. So we're going to call Sam and Tracy, because I know Sam studies a lot, but we're not going to turn into one of those weird people that worship on Saturday. We just want to learn a little bit more about a few things. And so they came and we studied for weeks. I came up with every reason in the world to not become a Sabbath keeper, but I saw the truth. It was there, it was clear. And of course, that was something that changed my life completely. We were very social people, and group of friends that we're in, very social people on Sabbath. So that was a life changer. And so we were baptized in February of '09. And I don't know, if you've been Adventist your whole life, but for me, I wasn't. And a lot of people didn't even know what I meant by I'm keeping the Sabbath. And, I turned into this really weird person, lost a lot of friends. And when I came to the women's retreat that year, it was just like a breath of fresh air. I was like, okay, people like me, And I know that sounds terrible, but when you're going through that, because it should be such a happy time, having little kids and being a mom and working full time, you don't get that quiet time. And that time for just you, there's always, I've got to go change a kid's diaper, or I've got to go feed a kid. So this is kind of my weekend to recharge for the entire year. And so just coming here, you kind of get that spiritual energy that you need to serve others, to serve your family, to serve your church, because I go back and I'm renewed and I feel so much better, and it gives me the desire to want to serve others more, because by the end of the 1 year cycle, I'm kind of worn down and I'm like, how I can't do this anymore. And then, you come here and you really see all these women that are doing such wonderful things, and it's so inspiring and so empowering to be around. That was the first time I guess I had heard about God in Shoes, and they did a big presentation, and we were going to Rogersville that year. And so when they started talking about that, just immediately, I was like, I've got to do this. I always had this desire to work with underprivileged children and wanted to go on a mission trip one day, but didn't really know how to make that happen, and had never even crossed my mind about doing missions in the United States, because, we live in the United States. No one's hungry here, or at least that's the perception. And I got a group of 5 or 6 girls, I can't remember, together, and so we went up to Rogersville. We were only there for a couple of days, but we did get to go, and it was just such a life-changing experience. Because number one, I realized, here in the U.S., there are people that are hungry. There was a family that did not have indoor plumbing, and it was just very eye-opening to the situation that we do have here in the United States in some cities. And that's really where my passion for God in Shoes began. And in 2012, Tracy Ball and I said, we've got to do this in our community. So we brought it into our community. We were a mission group at the time, we still are, and we served over 200 ladies that day. It was a little chaotic because we really, as much as we had participated in the God in Shoes events, you just don't realize the amount of work that goes in behind the scenes. And we did not expect 200 women at all. And so we were a little overwhelmed that day, but we learned a lot from that one. And then we work very closely with an elementary school close to us. We provide food to the kids over the weekend, and decided that we wanted to serve the women in our community by serving the kids. Each year we go to the elementary school, and we don't set up a spa day, but we have free shoes and free school supplies. We always have some kind of spiritual enrichment and then fun activities, but this will be our 5th annual at the elementary schools. My leadership ability came from being involved at church. I was not, like in college, I was in student organizations, but I was never in a leadership position, never really desired to do that. But I think when I started getting involved in women's ministries, I know this sounds terrible, but There was really no one else who wanted to lead it, and I said, you know, this is something I really want to do, and I've really gained those leadership skills, I think, through being part of women's ministries.